This video is in affiliation with Collingwood Insurance. So, when moving away, should you press the gas first or should you lift the clutch first? In my videos, I have told you to press the gas first before lifting clutch, but I get a lot of comments saying that you can just lift the clutch first and then add gas. But there's a reason why I asked you to add gas first, and that's what I'm going to explain in this video. The reason why I recommend you add gas is to reduce your risks of stalling and to make sure you have better control over your clutch. The last video that I made was all about this. Adding more gas enables you to have better control over your clutch. There's a link to that video in the top right hand corner of your screen. Basically, the more gas you give, the higher you can lift your clutch without stalling, which makes it easier for you, but also the faster you can move away. Now really, you do need gas to move a car, but modern cars add gas for you when you lift the clutch to the bite point. And that's another reason why I recommend you practice adding gas to move away before you lift the clutch, because that will enable you to get good at driving all cars, old cars and new cars, or cars that give you less help. I can explain that now. For example, if I put my car in first gear now and take the handbrake off, I am not going to press the gas. I'm going to put my foot on the floor. When I lift my foot up to the bite point on the clutch, I'm going to lift the clutch up to the bite point, the engine speed will increase because the car's computer will realise that there's load there and it will add gas for me. If it didn't do that, and not all cars do, you are likely to stall. So watch this. I'm going to lift the clutch to the bite point, and as I get near the bite point, it actually revved the engine for me. And in some cars it's more obvious than others, but if you can move away without adding gas, the chances are you're driving a modern car where the car's computer gives you lots of help. And not all computers give you lots of help. So although you can move plenty of cars without adding gas, it's a good idea to practice using the gas so that you're good at driving all cars. I get quite a few comments on this YouTube channel from people who have passed their test, got into a car that doesn't give them much help, where they have to add gas themselves, but they haven't been taught to do that. So they're on a hill somewhere in traffic and they've struggled moving away. They've stalled and stalled again and stalled again, and they haven't been able to figure out what's going wrong because they haven't been taught that actually in some cars you do need some power before you lift the clutch up. And this is one of the reasons why some people say it's better to learn in a diesel, because diesels are harder to stall. The reason why they're harder to stall, because you rarely ever need to add gas to get a diesel moving slowly. But diesels do have their own drawbacks. Overall, I've actually found it easier teaching in petrols. I've taught in diesels for 6 years and in petrols also for nearly 6 years. Oh, bit longer than that now actually, I believe. But I found it overall easier in petrol simply because gear choice is easier in a petrol. You can go slower in each gear in a petrol. They stall gently as well. They don't stall and startle my customers. They stall in a polite way. And you don't have to be in the exact gear all the time. For example, in a diesel, when you need to be in third, you need to be in third. In a petrol, if you should really be in third, you could probably get away with second or fourth and quite often still be okay. So in some ways a petrol is easier and a bit more lenient, but yes, a diesel is harder to stall, but when it stalls, you know about it. I think it's fair to say that most cars that you're going to learn in these days, and probably most people's first car, is going to give them a reasonable amount of help with the gas when they lift the clutch. When they get to the bite point, it's probably not just going to conk out, it's going to give a little bit of gas. But it still means you're going to move away slowly, and sometimes you need to get going quickly, and having that gas ready before you lift the clutch is always going to lead to a faster start. But remember, you're not the one controlling the gas now, the car is helping you. And do you really want to be relying on the car to help you every time you move away? Myself, I do sometimes. If I know I'm in a car that will give me that help and I just want to lift the clutch up just to give it a little push, maybe in traffic, creeping forwards, or even when I'm parking, yes, I will make use of that. But then I already have the practice and skill of using gas before I lift the clutch. So if I need to, I can. And my first my first 4 cars that I had definitely needed gas before I lifted the clutch. And they weren't that old. I think the youngest one of those would have been a 2000 car. So yeah, okay, it's 20 years old now, but that's quite feasible that a new driver is going to get a 20-year-old car as their first car even today. And that technology did not stop in the year 2000. It went on further than that. I think that engine that I had went on sale, or was on sale, until about 2006 when it was replaced. So now I'm going to move away without gas, and then I'll move away with gas, so you can see how it's different in this car. It works both ways in this car, but I do get a cleaner, faster start with gas. So clutch down, first gear. First take that I'm going to do is without gas. So handbrake is off. When it's safe to go, I'll lift the clutch up, get rolling, and then add gas afterwards. So that car's gone past, no one coming, lift the clutch up, get rolling, and then add gas. Actually, it did struggle there. I don't know if you noticed that, but the car did nearly stall. And this time I'm going to move away with gas. So clutch down, first gear, handbrake off, add a little bit of gas so it's ready to get me going, no one coming, lift the clutch to the bite point, and I'm away. There is an advantage having a car that will give you help. Let's say you're on a hill and you don't want to roll back. If you lift the clutch to the bite point and the car gives you gas for you automatically, you can stay on the foot brake, lift your foot to the bite point, and then come off the foot brake to get moving. Whereas if your car doesn't give you help, you're going to have to do a handbrake start to get moving, so you can get some gas and lift the clutch up without rolling back. I'll demonstrate those two now. So let's say I'm in a car that gives me help, like this car does. I'm in first gear, the handbrake's off, I'm uphill. If I come off the brake, I'm going to roll back. So what you can do is lift the clutch to the bite point, come off the brake, and that stops you rolling back whilst you add gas to get going. But let's say your car doesn't do that. You're not going to be able to lift the clutch to the bite point whilst you're on the brake, because you would just stall like I did there, because I lifted the clutch up definitely too high there to make sure I would stall. What you need to do is pull the handbrake up, add some gas, get some bite point, and then take the handbrake off to get moving, which is harder, does take more practice, but it's a very important skill to have. And it's a skill your driving instructor, in my opinion, should be teaching you, so you can do a hill start in any car, not just a car that gives you help. Now, although that hill start method is great, the one where you're on the foot brake, lift the clutch to the bite point, come off the foot brake and add gas, it's not ideal because it doesn't work in all cars, but also you've got to get that clutch just right. If you don't have gas and you lift the clutch to the bite point, you only have to lift it a little bit too high before you stall, like I did in that demonstration. If you add gas and lift the clutch, it's much easier to control the clutch, which is why I say you have better control over the clutch when you have gas than when you don't have gas. If you were taught to lift the clutch up first before adding gas, passed your driving test, and then found other cars difficult to drive without stalling before realising, oh, it's because I need to add gas to get going, let me know in the comments below, because I'm interested in how many people this is affecting. Well, I hope this video clears up whether or not you should add gas first or lift the clutch up first when you're moving away. If you think it does, please give the video a thumbs up and check out Collingwood and Confused in the description. Collingwood are great if you're learning to drive and want to insure yourself in a friend or family member's car, because you can do so without affecting their policy or risking their no claims bonus. There's short-term policies available and there are long-term policies available. And if you cancel a long-term policy, you will get a pro rata refund for what you didn't use. Using the link in the description gives you up to 35% off, and there's a £20 Amazon gift card in there as well. The link does also support this channel. However, don't just go to Collingwood, compare some insurers. Go to confused.com and compare many insurers with confused.com. That way you can compare if you're really getting a good deal with Collingwood. There's a link in the description to confused.com. Using that link will support this channel. If you want to get my future videos, please subscribe. And until the next one, cheerio.